It was a crisp Saturday morning in Willow Creek, a quiet suburb of Raleigh, North Carolina. I just settled onto my porch with a steaming cup of decaf, ready to enjoy the chirping birds and the rustle of my maple trees. At 56, I'd earned these moments of peace after decades of hard work as an electrical engineer. But then, a stranger in flip-flops and a Hawaiian shirt sauntered across my lawn, juggling a beach ball and a plate of sliders. I froze, my mug halfway to my lips. My backyard wasn't just hosting a guest, it was a full-blown carnival. Music blared, kids shrieked, and smoke from a grill curled into the sky. In the middle of it all stood Linda Harper, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, sipping a cocktail and waving at me like I'd RSVP'd to her chaos. My blood boiled, but I didn't storm out yelling. Instead, I set my coffee down, grabbed my phone, and opened the app for my custom-installed irrigation system, a little project I'd rigged last year for drought season. Linda had crossed a line, and I was about to draw one right back. My split-level home sat on a generous lot, built in the 1970s before the HOA even existed. That meant I wasn't bound by their endless bylaws or Linda's reign as suburban dictator. She was 52, with a perm, a clipboard, and an ego that could fill a football field. For years, I dodged her block parties and garden tours, happy to tinker in my garage while she played queen. But this was war. Stepping outside, I was hit with the stench of burgers and sunscreen. My yard was a circus. A bounce house crushed my rose bushes, a speaker system thumped under my cherry tree, and a portable toilet leaned against my shed. Teenagers cannonballed into an inflatable pool I'd never seen. I wove through the crowd, some 40 strangers, and found Linda lounging in my patio chair, fanning herself with a flyer. "Morning, Tom," she chirped. "Perfect day for a neighborhood bash, right?" I demanded to know why she was on my property. She didn't blink. "The HOA picked your yard for our summer social," she said, like it was obvious. "It's got the best shade in space. The community charter allows shared use, and you're not exempt." I told her my land wasn't her playground and threatened to call the cops. She smirked, claiming she'd cleared it with them. Skeptical, I dialed 911. 2 officers arrived, looking baffled. Linda had told them I was away, and the event was HOA sanctioned. I showed my ID, explained the trespass, but they shrugged, saying it was a civil matter. "Talk to the HOA board or sue," one said before they drove off. I stood there, watching strangers trample my sod and spill soda on my deck. My jaw clenched so tight I thought I'd crack a tooth. Back inside, I checked my security feeds. Linda had unplugged 2 cameras and draped the tarp over a third. My side gate was padlocked from the outside. They trapped me in my own home for a party I didn't approve. But then, a notification pinged on my phone. My irrigation system, complete with underground sensors and a remote app, was online. I'd built it to manage water flow, but it had another feature, a manual release for overflow drainage. And Linda's pool was right over the drainage zone. I noticed her handing out envelopes, collecting cash from guests. Zooming in with my phone, I snapped photos. She wasn't just hosting, she was renting my yard like a venue. A quick search on a rental app confirmed it. Shady Willow Oasis, private events, host. Linda. The photos were my yard meat trees, my pergola, cropped to hide my house. Reviews raved about the private vibe and mentioned a bonus sprinkler feature. My stomach churned. They'd tapped into my irrigation line, maybe even messed with the drainage cap. The system was at 65% capacity. One tap could unleash the overflow. First, I gathered evidence, screenshots of the listing, guest names, and footage from my indoor cameras. I had 3 small action cams sewn by the bird bath, one in the shed window, and one near the drainage pipe, which, as I suspected, had been tampered with. If I released the overflow, it'd flood the low corner where Linda's pool sat. My finger hovered over the app's Activate button. It felt petty, but it also felt just. I tapped it. The effect was slow but deliberate. A faint gurgle rose from the ground, drowned out by the DJ's bass. The pool rippled, but no one noticed. I sipped my coffee, watching from the window. 5 minutes later, a sour stench hit. A boy with a hot dog wrinkled his nose. A teen by the pool gagged, pointing at the bubbling sludge seeping up. Guests waved their hands, blaming a nearby swamp. A dad in sandals stepped in it, yelped, and flailed. Linda, tipsy and laughing, didn't see the chaos unfolding. The DJ cut the music, clutching his nose. The snack table toppled as guests fled. The padlocked gate trapped some, forcing them to climb the fence. The sludge murky, rank, and relentless oozed toward the pool. A girl screamed. A man shouted about a biohazard. Linda finally turned, saw the mess, and froze. She tried to climb a chair, but it slipped, dunking her into the now filthy pool. She surfaced, sputtering, her cocktail glass bobbing beside her. Guests laughed or ran, abandoning towels and coolers. The DJ, panicking, yanked his cords, slipped, and face-planted into the muck. Sparks flew from his gear. I stifled a laugh. Linda, drenched and furious, pounded on my door, demanding I let her in. I stared through the glass, eyebrow raised, and pointed to my porch camera. She paled, realizing I'd recorded everything. Then, a mother screamed her son was stuck in my treehouse, too scared to climb down through the sludge. I sighed, pulled on boots, and waited out. The crowd parted as I carried the boy to safety, handed him to his mom, and shut off the valve. The flow stopped, but the damage was done. By dusk, the yard was a wasteland of mud, flip-flops, and shame. Linda stood alone, soaked, as the last car peeled out. She vowed I'd pay, claiming I'd broken environmental laws. I leaned in and whispered, "You trespassed, scammed, and endangered people. Let's talk charges." Then I walked inside. The next day, my yard looked like a battlefield. The pool had collapsed, the grass was torn, and the smell lingered. A letter from the HOA arrived, accusing me of endangering residents and fining me $4,000 for disrupting a sanctioned event. I laughed. They'd picked the wrong fight. I compiled my evidence photos, footage, the rental listing, and my deed proving HOA exemption and dropped it at their office with a note for the full board. My neighbor, Mark, the HOA vice president, called. Over beers on my porch, he spilled the truth. Linda had been renting out yards for months, pocketing cash under the guise of community events. Mine was the biggest, so she thought I wouldn't notice. Some board members suspected her but lacked proof until my stunt. Mark gave me a recording of Linda admitting to the rentals, claiming it was for the neighborhood. I filed complaints with the county and a small claims suit for property damage. A zoning officer visited, tipped off by an anonymous report about my illegal system. I showed her the permits and tampered pipe. She cleared me, praising my setup, and suggested I sue for harassment. Meanwhile, a teen's video of the disaster went viral. Linda's pool plunge became a meme, captioned, "HOA Queen Drowns in Drama." The HOA scrambled. At a chaotic meeting, residents demanded Linda's ouster. Mark presented my evidence, and she was suspended. The board apologized and covered some of my cleanup costs. Linda tried a comeback, holding a press conference in her yard. A flimsy sign read, "Justice for Willow Creek." No reporters showed. Mid-speech, her sprinklers misfired, soaking her. She fled inside as neighbors snickered. Her house sat unsold, its teal paint peeling, lawn dead. The county fined her for unpermitted patio work and fund misuse. She vanished after sending me a cryptic note, "You'll get yours." I reported it and moved on. Months later, I hosted a low-key barbecue. Neighbors brought ribs and stories, kids played, and a guitar strummed. They thanked me for toppling Linda, sparking courage to challenge other HOA bullies. Mark rewrote the charter for transparency, and the neighborhood felt warmer, less nosy. My yard healed, greener than ever, with a new sign, "Private property. No rentals allowed." Linda's reign was a cautionary tale. Entitlement can't outrun accountability. I'd stood my ground, not with fists but with proof and a well-timed valve. That was enough. What do you think about standing up to injustice? Even if it means getting messy. Was I right to fight back, or did I go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear your take on power, fairness, and where you draw the line.